It's New Year's Day, which means a lot of people in the world are starting the year with big, hairy, audacious goals that they're shooting for the moon, and at least they'll end up hitting the stars, which means that they are going to experience what is traditionally an 88% failure rate for most people who set goals. That's right, 88% of people fail. There's a reason why. I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. Here's the challenge with how most people have been taught to or conditioned to set goals. We've all been in the room during the event where the goal achievement, the goal setting expert comes in. And the goal setting guy is the guy who gets up on the stage and does hey everybody, we're going to do something huge. We're going to do something massive. It's going to be incredible. I want you to write down the biggest number you can ever imagine earning in your life. Now cross it out and double it. That's what you're going to make next year. Whenever that guy starts up these days, I leave the room. See, I can't take goal setting experts. The problem that I have with 99% of goal setting experts is that they're just that. They're goal setting experts. They have nothing to do with goal achievement. And that's why they continue to tell people to set goals that are only going to disappoint them, frustrate them, and not actually move them forward. See, here's the reality of setting goals to actually create momentum in your life. Is that if you're going to do that, you have to have some type of a vision, some type of a clear path, some type of a process that's going to get you there. And here's the challenge with those goal setting experts who tell you to go do something crazy is that it's great to use a goal like that as inspiration. It's great to say, if you've never made money on your own and before as a business owner, I want to make $1 million. But want to know what's even more important than making $1 million? If you've never owned a business before, how about having a business that makes its first $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000? See, one of the biggest challenges out there is that no one tells you the true path to success isn't by setting big, hairy, audacious, massive, unachievable goals. The true path to success, and where every entrepreneur actually creates success, is in consistency around executable, measurable, incremental gains. See, have a vision. Have a vision that you're going to make $1 million. But then have a plan around making your first 1,000, then your first 10,000, then your first $1 million. Because the biggest issue today with how entrepreneurs set goals is that we set goals that are so in the distance, that are so out there that we can't see a realistic path to get there. If you want to become a millionaire, I have one word for you. It's not vision. It's not courage. It's not risk. It's not any of those things. It's consistency. Ask anyone who's a self-made millionaire more than one time over. See, I've done it more than once. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. In 2007, Katie and I went bankrupt. And the way that we rebuilt from bankruptcy back to being independently wealthy was consistency. We had one product, one sales process, one funnel that we delivered all the way until we'd made over $10 million. Then we introduced our second product. It was consistency in... We knew how many we sold the month before, and we were trying to sell more the next month. And what would happen is, here's what happens. When you put together goals where there's incremental gains with a clear process, with an interim target that you can hit, what happens is then you have these massive leaps forward, and massive leaps forward happen much more often when you're winning. So the way to win next year is to pull the target way close so that you can see where you're going next and then measure your way there. If you've never made money in a business before, pull the target so close that you can't help but hit it, because then you'll set the next one and the next one after that. But if you've never made money before and you set out to make $1 million, it is going to be a very challenging year for you. Unless you say, my first interim goal is $1,000 in the next month, because then you might be able to do it. The challenge is that so many people who show people like us how to set goals don't show us the perspective with which we actually create momentum and win. Now here, I want you to internalize this, understand this is going to change your year. In order for you, every person listening to this, to be in momentum, you need 3 things. 1 is a clear outcome, a clear target. You know exactly what it is. You know you can check a box when you've hit it. 2, you need to know your part in what you're doing, what you're accountable for, and what the people around you are accountable for. So you have to have clarity as to your purpose, your role, what you're doing. And then 3, you have to have a scoreboard that shows you success. And here's the challenge. If you start at 0 and you put up a scoreboard that says $1 million, no matter what, you're going to be disappointed in yourself. But if you say someday I'm going to make $1 million, and you set up a scoreboard to make 1,000, and you measure every dollar on your way there, now your next interim step's 10,000. Then your next is 100,000. Then your next is maybe 300,000. Then your next is $1 million, and you can actually see it. So if you want to have $1 million business, if you want to do what most people don't do, set a goal that you can see right now so that it'll help you start getting there, because far too many people set goals that they can't even understand the first step in getting there. And what happens is we as entrepreneurs hit these periods where we have massive forward gains. You know, the first information products business Katie and I started in 2007 out of bankruptcy. I remember exactly how it worked. You know, it was consistency, and it was one sales process. We had the certified distressed property expert, and I went and sold it at real estate offices and in person, and at title companies in person. And we did that all the way up to $1 million. Then we built an online funnel, an online sales letter. I sold everything in person up to them because it was one funnel, one process, one way of selling. And then as we hit $1 million and then surpassed $1 million, we get a call from Remax, one of the biggest the biggest brokerage in the world. That massive, huge leap forward in our business that created millions of dollars, not just in gross revenue, but actually millions of dollars in profit, all came because we were doing the right thing. We were moving forward. We were going through one step at a time. We were simple, very simple. And what happens is, if you're in momentum, if you have a clear outcome, you know what you're doing, what your role is, you have a clear measurement so you can see where you're going, that's when you're going to hit the massive accelerators that change our lives as entrepreneurs. Now, can you hit those every once in a while when things aren't going that well? Things are going challenging in a challenging way, and suddenly you do something that turns it all around? Yes, but you're so much more likely to hit those things consistently and repeatedly and over again when you are in momentum and moving forward. In fact, when you see some businesses growing, they're growing because their success keeps them growing. Russell Brunson, who runs ClickFunnels right now, is experiencing so much success because ClickFunnels has created so much success that you can't stop hearing about them because so many people are talking about them. But the way he's gotten there was one step at a time. When he started selling ClickFunnels, it was the same thing. One sale, one process, one promotion, one funnel to sell ClickFunnels. It was simple. It was interim steps. And now his success is exploding. He's hitting so many accelerators that it looks like it's a runaway success. And it really is. ClickFunnels it's incredible what's happened with that company. But at the beginning, it was interim steps. At the beginning, it was one sales funnel. At the beginning, it was getting the first 1,000 customers, then 5,000 customers, then 10,000. Now they're at over 60,000. But it started with the first 25. So for you, this year, this is the first day of the year. Ask yourself, do you have targets this year that you can measure towards from right now? Do you have a plan as to how to hit those targets? Can you see them coming? Because when we set targets that we can hit, when we start measuring forward, when we know our role, that's when we get into momentum. That's when we hit the massive leaps forward. But it's also when we grow the most, when we understand the most, and when we are doing well, that's when we attract the energy to have even more gains, to do even better, to move forward faster, and to create even more momentum. So this year, make sure you understand exactly where you're going. Measure it along the way. Know what your outcomes are and what your role is, and you will experience success unlike anything you've ever had. Let's make 2019 the biggest year in the history of your career. If you want some more help on this, if you want to make 2019 unbelievable, go to momentummasterclass.com. Join our product where we show you how to plan forward strategically for yourself personally, how to optimize physiologically, cognitively, and chemically for an entrepreneur, and how to create momentum on demand in ways you never thought possible. momentummasterclass.com.